Total Exalium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometre after kilometre. Total Exalium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometre after kilometre. Total Exalium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometre after kilometre. Total Exalium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometre after kilometre. Total Exalium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometre after kilometre. Total Exalium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometre after kilometre.
Challenge at Christ the King School. We're also going to have the viewing of number 12. There are 4 different viewings: 3 p.m., 5 p.m., 8 p.m., and 10 p.m. And we'll be giving away some tickets on the show this morning as we count down to that big event. The BBC is also sent out a trailer that on the 7th of June they're going to show their own version. It's the African version of the Ghana problem. In studio, Kojo Akotobuating, AJ Akoko Sapong, with sponsorship for the NPR. Fidelity Bank, with over 75 branches and a nationwide presence. Fidelity Bank provides you with the most convenient ways to receive your remittance through Western Union, Unity Link, Express Money, RIA, MoneyGram, and many more. You can redeem your remittances even on Sundays at our Ring Road and Action Chapel branches. And the good news is that this Ramadan, Fidelity Bank is rewarding all remittance customers with instant gifts. So let me say good morning to the guys in the studio. Hey AJ, what's up?
Nothing, we're ready.
Ready to roll.
Today.
Ghana 4%.
Hi. Anas is coming like Kakai.
Thank you. This is a remix of Shatawale.
You know the first song you played there?
The first song?
Yes. Obinyani Meal.
All right.
Said I miss tomorrow morning. People will wake up singing that song. If you find yourself in that video, you either ask yourself whether it's a dream or it's a reality.
It's incredible how many people still want tickets. So we managed to hustle a few from the Anas people, but these are 10 p.m. tickets that we'll be giving out through some phone-in or something, because they are not enough for everybody to simply come and get. But let's go into the papers first, and then we'll tell people how they can get those tickets.
Well, starting with the Ghanaian Times, and Anas, of course, is front page on many newspapers. Anas number 12 video shows at Accra International Conference Center today. Also, efforts at achieving gender equality by 2030, big boost for female entrepreneurs, 30% government contracts to go to them. So this is a 30 of 70 initiative that was put out. So Newmont, we welcome investigative report into the accident.
If you go to the Daily Graphic, Anas number 12 premieres today. EC alleged corruption probe. Lawyers to file responses by June 8. And the big story. Bernard, are you ready for this? Real rebuilding begins. Sawam stretch to bounce back soon.
Oh.
Why? Oh,
that's soon.
No,
I thought you were saying they've started.
No, it says begins. I'll give you the details, but the current Sawam, it is going to bounce back because they are challenging.
Go on, please.
Well, the final Ghana's Football Day of Shame, and that unveils the rot over 100 top officials to face ban or jail. Cylinder recirculation reserved for Ghanaians, says the MPA, and 50% of Maslock loans for women, President Akufo-Addo.
The Daily Heritage, it's D-Day for sports officials, as Anas video on corruption shows today. over 100 BNI officers, soldiers, police to provide security. Agona East BEC candidates assure MP of excellent performance. Time to talk sexual health with Miss via Jamestown and more trouble for Obinfo Hospital boss.
The publisher, All Eyes on Anas, a secret video plays today. Produced Dr. Obinfo court orders Rich Hospital. Don't blame us for lorry fare increase, says GPRTU.
If you go to the Ghanaian Observer, 50% of Maslock loans for women, President Akufo-Addo. Major Mahama family forever grateful to the president. Mahama mad at Joy FM over $8 million for JM 2016 scandal. Support us to make Kumasi the cleanest city, Simon Osei-Mensah, and revealed Deputy NEIP CEO was a regular client of Obinfo Hospital.
The new crusading guide, corruption scandal rocks the nation as 66 referees, 14 GFA officials, 6 GSA staff involved. Private medical professionals jump to Obinfo's defense over license.
So the crusading guy says 66, right? Now the Daily Statesman says 80 referees, 14 officials caught. Anas GFA corruption film released today. NDC to rerun elections to pick credible 2020 flag bearer, and Maslock will give 50% of loans to women. Akufo-Addo.
The Chronicle, judgment day for football people. 3 soldiers in the cooler for extorting money to allow Galamsey to thrive, and 50% of Maslock loans will go to women, says the president.
The Herald, men's gold frightens banks and others. Companies delay NPA gas cylinder recirculation policy. And coming up, Akufo-Addo's midnight operations in the energy sector.
The Today newspaper, day of reckoning as football people, 4 football people as Anas blows lid off number 12 expose. Alleged murder at Obinfo Hospital, Deputy NEIP CEO, long-time patient, documents reveal.
The BNFT newspaper, Agric needs more oil cash according to PIAC. We need a fund for women businesses. World Environment Day, collective action must be taken to beat plastic pollution in Africa.
The Independent, I support calls for review of Ghana's criminal code, the president says, and Ghana engages China in joint military exercise.
The Gold Street Business, Cocoa Board reviews forward market pricing as Ghana loses revenue despite rising global cocoa market prices. Mesty out with policy to combat plastic waste pollution, Professor Frimpong Boateng. NBSSI pushes for setup fund for women entrepreneurs, and World Bank supports Ghana to scale up commercial agric.
Going online to citynewsroom.com, 2 arrested for writing BC for candidates. Also, no cholera cases recorded in Accra since 2017. AMA boss says so. Government directs Maslock to reserve 50% loans for women, as you read, and AMA begs on landfill site to operate 24 hours. Also from point of view on TTTV yesterday. Nyantechi scandal, Mahama never took $8 million bribe. This is according to the NDC. Citybusinessnews.com, LPG consumption in 3 regions of the north still low according to MPA. Also publish all exemptions under ESLA, Senyo Hosi to ESLA PLC, and foodstuff prices go up by 7% in May. A story brought to you yesterday. My Joy Online leads with number 12. Ghanaians ecstatic as Anas documentary premieres today. An exclusive Kwesi Nyantechi statement to CID of Anas corruption video that claimed a statement regarding President Mahama. And Peace FM Online has an interesting headline. If bleaching will reunite us with Rawlings, then I have no problem. Anita Disusu. And this is to all those who are complaining about Rawlings' statements regarding her skin color. We're going to the crusading guide today because they seem to have the filler on this number 12 business.
Yes, they and the finder as well. So starting off with the new crusading guide. From 3 p.m. this afternoon, the International Conference Center in the heart of Accra will be the host of the pulse of many Ghanaians who are stunned and curious, wanting to know what exactly the latest investigative documentary of undercover investigative journalist Anas Arimiao Anas's number 12 entails. Ahead of the free public viewing, this paper can report that 66 referees, 14 Ghana Football Association officials, 6 Ghana Sports Authority staff have been captured in the latest documentary, committing one blunder or the other. President of the FA, Kwesi Nyantechi, however, still tops the list as the big fish and the person that is and would still dominate the news with his involvement in the latest corruption scandal, where in the documentary it's seen and heard using the president's name to peddle influence. However, the Referee Association of Ghana has also confirmed media reports that 17 of its members have been captured in the investigative reports. He also gives the names of the referees as James Osafo, Jason Nunu, Kennedy Bentil, Adams Badui, Hassan Bedui.
I hope you're not going to go to all the 66.
No, it's just 4. It's just 17 they've listed. So Safia Dade, Samuel Suka, Chireme Yeboah, and a host of others as well. And our checks have revealed that almost all the referees have been written to by the BBC for responses, and the Referee Association of Ghana has admitted receiving correspondence in relation to the referees in the tape.
So this is the Crusading Guide. What did the finders put out?
Well, the finder also puts out 70 referees in it. So in what has been described as by insiders as a tsunami to rock Ghana and African football, acclaimed investigative journalist Anas is set to premiere the video today. So snippets and information gathered by the finder indicate that over 100 football officials have been captured in the tape in various acts, and it says about 70 referees, 10 GFA and 3 NSA officials are captured in the tape. And also bits and pieces of the video show corrupt practices in football, such as influencing referees, match fixing, visa racketeering, which player gets Black Stars call up, as well as sponsorship and player transfers, amongst others.
Black Stars.
Should I repeat it? It shows influencing referees, match fixing, visa racketeering, which player gets Black Stars call up, as well as sponsorship and player transfers, amongst others.
Now,
and it's over 12,000 people set to
then
watch.
the new statement says what as well?
So the other paper said 66 referees, but the new statement says 80 referees and 14 officials.
70.
Yeah,
no, so there are three
figures,
figures, but essentially more than 60.
Yes. So essentially it's the same story, just that the figures are
Well,
different.
the BBC has also put out some sort of trailer of the rot in African football that they want to show.
Yeah.
Which so the information there is that what Anas is showing today is the Ghana version of an Africa problem, which was done in at least 9 other African countries.
Okay.
So on the 7th of June, the BBC will also be showing what they call their documentary on football in Africa and the corruption therein. So it's 2 things happening concurrently. But the Daily Graphic is also advertising the program, as is the Ghanaian Times.
Yes.
And most papers are just giving us details. The information we have is that there will be 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and a newly created slot 10 p.m. because a lot of people want tickets and they don't have.
And there will also be a premiere in Kumasi at the CCB auditorium at KNUST.
Okay.
But it's not today. That I think is on the 7th and the 9th. I'll get the actual date for listeners.
So while that is going on, what else is in the news?
Real rebuilding begins. Accra in Sawam stretch to bounce back soon. Yes.
Give us the details.
The story by Juliet Echan Safo for the Daily Graphic says that the Ghana Railway Company Limited has begun rehabilitation works on the Accra in Sawam railway stretch to improve safety on the rail lines. The rehabilitation project is estimated to cost 15 million Ghana cedis and is to improve the transportation situation in the city. In an interview yesterday, the acting MD of the Ghana Railway Company Limited, Mr. John Issel, explained that the rehabilitation of the 40-kilometer railway line was focused on replacing all rail tracks in a deplorable state.
Okay.
A situation which had resulted in the closure of the railway lines since July last year, following a derailment at Apenkwa near Accra.
Okay.
He said whereas excavation works were being undertaken at Accra Central due to poor soil capacity, the laying of tracks had already begun at Aveno, a suburb of Accra, and the Ghana Railway Company Limited is in charge of the construction, which was contracted to it by the Ghana Railway Development Authority. Now, if you go to Kumasi, today is June 6th, Anas is happening in Accra. But there is this invitation I've seen on social media from the Ministry of Aviation. Invitation. The Ministry of Aviation requests the pleasure of your company at the sword cutting ceremony for phase 2 of the Kumasi Airport project.
Great.
And it's happening today at 11 a.m. So we're following up on that.
So 2 big things happening. Now, the other story is about big boost for female entrepreneurs. Ghanaian Times leads with it. There are other angles to that. We are told that they are to get 30% of government contracts and 50% of loans must also go to them.
Okay, so let me start with the finder with the Maslow loans. So the President of the Republic has said his government's goal of reaching gender equality, a directive has been issued to the Microfinance and Small Loan Center, MASLOC, to ensure that 50% loans dispersed are given to women engaged in small-scale farming and businesses. So according to the President, the government has put in place has put in place a deliberate policy of strengthening the capacity of local businesses by ensuring that 70% of all government-funded contracts or projects are awarded to local contractors. Out of this, initially, 30% of the contracts or projects are being awarded to women. So that's a finance angle. And in the Ghanaian Times, henceforth, government will allocate 30% of contracts to female entrepreneurs in the country, according to the president. He said the move was deliberate to allocate significant portions of government contracts to female entrepreneurs, adding that out of 70% of government contracts, 30% will be allocated to female entrepreneurs. However, I did go for the stakeholders meeting. This was by the Ministry of Procurement, if this policy is what I think it is, and that was 70% out, 30 out of 70%. But however, it's not only allocated to women. So the 30% will go to persons with disabilities, the youth, and women as well.
Now, if you go to the Gold Street Business, the National Board for Small Scale Industries is pushing for a setup fund for women entrepreneurs. And the story is related to what you just read. It says that the National Board for Small Scale Industries has called on the government to initiate an exclusive setup fund for women entrepreneurs. The initiative, the organization noted, will enable more women to venture into business, scale up and grow their trades in order to become successful. Now, Bernard, yesterday I spent some time reading past annual reports of the Ministry of Trade and Industry. The NBSSI is under them. And I realized that their budgetary allocation sometimes 16,000 Ghana cedis, 20,000 Ghana cedis, 50,000 Ghana cedis for their program of activities for the whole year.
Don't forget that this MBSSI Women Entrepreneurship Program, we were media partners as part of Citi Business Festival. BNFT has another quick angle. It says we need a fund for women businesses.
Yes, now the point I'm trying to make is if we have a board like this, and if you read their reports, sometimes they're able to reach like 20,000 young businesses. If we have a board like this, why have successive governments been rolling out other initiatives and pushing a lot of funds into them, which are actually not giving us the returns?
Let me bring you a couple of stories from citinewsroom.com. No cholera cases recorded in 2017 or since 2017, according to the AMA boss. Also, AMA begs Pon landfill site to operate 24 hours. Both stories came from Point of View, which I hosted on Monday, and it's on the sanitation of Accra. The mayor of Accra says the city did not record a single case of cholera, or has not recorded a single case of cholera since 2017. Mr. J. said this is an improvement from 2015, when over 100 people died from the disease in Accra alone. He made the point on Point of View, a program I hosted on Monday night. But still on that program, the AMA is asking the operators of the landfill site to operate for 24 hours if we are to manage waste effectively in the city. The AMA has appealed to the managers of the landfill site near Tema to, as a matter of urgency, resume their 24-hour operation for the clearing of the filth. The AMA, in a statement, attributed a delay in collecting refuse in Accra to the challenges waste management companies face in accessing landfill site. Now, they're asking for the operators of the site to open it 24 hours, and if that is done, there will be no refuse on the streets of Accra. But we are told that one of the reasons why this thing is not open is the indebtedness, and that if they are paid by whoever owes them, they will promptly operate it as long as it can.
Well, still on the AMA, and in the Ghanaian Times, the CEO of the AMA has said that his outfit will complete all uncompleted school buildings within the metropolis by the end of this year. He said in addition to that, his office will complete 9 out of the 14 uncompleted schools in the metropolis by the end of June. He said this at the closing ceremony of the International Children's Book Day organized in Accra.
Did you mention the Bawaleshi Presby School, which has been completed and abandoned? Did he mention that?
That one, he didn't go that far.
We need to be serious with that particular school. Now, Bernard, I'll take you to page 28 and 37 of the Daily Graphic. Edmond Smith Asante writes about sleepless nights in Bawi. And he says, sleepless nights in Bawi, as robbers have field day. So he talks about historical occurrences.
This is New Bawi.
Yes.
New Bawi, not Bawi.
Yes, New Bawi. He talks about what has happened in New Bawi and the Bawi area in general, and the robberies, the police response, the assembly's response, and the fact that the people are still having sleepless nights and they are not getting the solution they require. We need to pay attention to them.
In the middle page of the Ghanaian Times as well, underperforming MMDCs face sack. So the non-performing metropolitan, municipal and district CEOs or chief executives in the Greater Accra region will be removed from office if they do not push the government's agenda. Greater Accra Regional Minister Ishmael Ashite has cautioned. So according to him, as heads of agencies responsible for executing and monitoring developmental projects and policies, it's unfortunate that some MMDCs have remained dormant and were in a relaxed mode while government was focused focused and doing its utmost best to fulfill promises to Ghanaians. He went on to say, if you're not working to support this vision, clearly sanctions, including removal, must be administered.
Now, let me take you to the Go Street business. Yesterday was World Environment Day. Now, the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology says that they have a new policy to combat plastic waste pollution. The story says that the ministry, led by Professor Kobna Frimpong Boateng, has disclosed that the National Plastics Management Policy has been drafted to curb the growing plastic waste pollution. The policy he reviewed calls for recycling plastic waste into resources for value addition in manufacturing processes, for the importation of oxo-biodegradable plastics, and a swift environmental education. But there's an outstanding issue with plastics. There's a plastics fund. There's a levy that people who import plastics pay. And the Minister of Sanitation some time ago said that about 99 or so million Ghana cedis is missing from that particular plastics fund. What are we doing to trace that fund to deal with the plastics?
Let's go into the petroleum sector for a bit, because the GIPCON conference begins today. We are partnering that as well. It's part of the Ghana International Petroleum Conference, which is happening on the theme Realizing the Vision of a Petroleum Hub. It starts from the 6th at the Gold Coast Kempinski, and it runs to the 8th, and we are the media partners for that event. Now, a couple of stories in that area. Publish all exemptions under ESLA, Senyo Hosi to ESLA PLC. Now, this is because following the release of a report by the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, people have disputed some of the claims that we lost 1.8 billion in terms of tax revenues. Now, the chamber has hit back and is demanding that the government makes public all exemptions granted under the ESLA receipts from 2016 to 2017. The chamber argues that the extent of such exemptions may serve as an avenue for tax evasion. Hence, Ghanaians must be given the fine details of the transactions. The request comes on the back of comments from ESLA PLC contesting some figures quoted by the chamber as unrecorded receipts under the account. Now, a 2017 industry report from the chamber suggested that at least $915 million of ESLA receipts were unreported between 2016 and 2017. Still in the sector, cylinder recirculation to create over 100,000 jobs. Chronicle page 5, and it says the National Petroleum Authority has said that the cylinder recirculation module would create 100,000 additional jobs. He additionally revealed that the program would also help sanitize the industry to make it safer. And this was during a press conference in Accra on June 5th. Alassane Tampoli, the CEO, says that contrary to claims that the program would let current players lose their jobs, additional sectors have been added to the value chain, which rather rakes in more jobs. This issue will be discussed at the petroleum conference as well.
This issue is also here in the Herald. The Herald says companies delay NPA gas cylinder recirculation policy. The story says the program by the NPA to roll out its gas cylinder recirculation model will not start this year as planned. According to the NPA's Director for Inspection and Monitoring, Esther Anku, the delay is as a result of the inability of some 18 companies to build new LPG bottling plants to start the program. But the authority says that it is working to fast-track the implementation process. Mrs. Anku made this known at a media event yesterday, and he said that the flagship program was taking a step-by-step approach to come into fruition.
Also on the NPM, the National Petroleum Authority has indicated that the cylinder recirculation model will be implemented by, which is to be implemented by the authority, will only have indigenous Ghanaian companies as implementation partners. So Cabinet on April 4th approved a local content policy which will allow only Ghanaian companies to operate under the CRM.
Alright, now the Herald leaves with an interesting story about men's gold. I don't know what to say.
You know, they've been publishing stories about men's gold for the past few days. This one says, men's gold frightens banks and others. The story on page 3 of the Herald says that impeccable sources within the banking industry have revealed plans to shut down the operations of the gold buying firm, Men's Gold, using coordinated media attacks on officials of Bank of Ghana.
Oh, really?
Claiming the company is acting illegally. The plan has seen series of publications by particular media houses speaking with the BOG officials, the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, the Minerals Commission and Securities and Exchange Commission, in a calculated attempt to have the gold buying firm closed down. The Herald is informed that the media attack is at the behest of commercial banks and savings and loans companies in the country, whose fear is that at the rate at which Men's Gold is receiving patronage, they might lose a huge chunk of their clients. And
so is the people saying that the Bank of Ghana is being manipulated by other banks? Is this the same Bank of Ghana that's asking banks to raise their minimum capital requirement and is trying to be tough on banks? So it's almost like saying the tail is wagging the dog because of competitive action.
Yeah.
That really undermines the Bank of Ghana. There are two quick stories. Extend planting for food and jobs to cash crops. This is Emmanuel Ebohoxin, page 61 of Graphic. I'll read it. Also, Ashanti region tops list of NAPCO applicants, back page of Graphic. And then laser machine installed at Kolebu for treatment of ENT cases. Portia for reports in that one as well, which seems quite positive.
I thought you should have given us a bit of the planting for food and jobs.
All right,
because
so
the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
So let me give you that. The story says an entrepreneur and agriculturist, Kwame Brefo Kodua, has called on government to extend the planting for food and jobs policy to cash crops such as teak, rubber, and your favorite one,
cashew.
Thank you. Such a move, he said, will provide numerous employment opportunities for the youth, as well as contribute to the industrial revolution agenda of the country. Here's a quote: the government must widen the scope of the planting for food and jobs to include cash crops. These are huge foreign exchange earners, and with the right support, their contribution to the economy will grow massively, he told the Daily Graphic.
You know, yesterday we asked questions of the warehouses the ministry said they were going to build. Today there is an invitation for tenders to get bid documents and tender for these warehouses. And it's in the Daily Graphic, page 24 and page 25. You would want to check it out. So Gambaga, Bole, Salaga, Waliwali, Sanarugu, Yagba, different regions and different communities. You should check it out.
Now, AJ, let's come to you.
Okay, so quick one. Newmont has responded from the reports that came out yesterday. So in the Ghanaian Times, they said it is developing a detailed action plan to implement the recommendations contained in the Minerals Commission's investigation into the tragic construction accident at its Ahafo Mines expansion project in April this year.
Two quick stories. MMCE's directors will be sanctioned if, front page of Graphic and Times, but this is inside page 40. A story by Emilia Abe says the Director Accra Regional Minister has stressed that the MMDCs and their coordinating directors who fail to meet key performance indicators for the development of their regions will be sanctioned. The indicators include strengthening the decentralization system of governance, deepening democratic participation, providing leadership and policy direction for poverty alleviation and wealth creation, and ensuring proper waste management. He doesn't tell us what the sanctions would be, though.
But also, quick update on the UGMC. Government is working with a Turkish contractor working on UGMC to operationalize the facility with immediate effect. So they are now running a test on all the equipment to ready it in time for July.
July 19 is our deadline. Meanwhile, from Parliament, majority...
Yeah, they said Turkish. I was wondering, I thought it was Israeli. Or
so, my view is they probably wanted to say turnkey.
Yeah,
okay, and then they mixed it up.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's supposed to be turnkey.
Turkey, yeah. Because
Okay.
when I saw Turkish, I was like,
But
okay.
turnkey, Turkish, and Turkey, they are relatives. Thank you, gentlemen and lady. We'll see you later.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation. Total Exalium, the fuel that cleans your engine.